Welcome to Marketplace with Charles. Marketplace is brought to you by Art of Skin Care, the company that brings out the beauty in you, and Kuisa Lodge, where dreams do come true, from deep in the heart of Mabalingwe Nature Reserve, as well as Grace Farms, your #1 daily fresh produce. I am Charles Ngobeni. On Marketplace, we redefine your future by equipping you with tools that you need to achieve your entrepreneurial dreams. Each week we bring you insight from experts in different fields of business, from wise men and women of great stature. Today's guest is a physicist based at the University of Pretoria. Careers and entrepreneurial ventures actuated by a qualification in physics are some of the most sought after in the world today. However, many people often shy away from this because they seem intimidating by the virtue of the dedication to studies that they demand. Yet, the mere fact that we have my guest sitting here with me is a living proof that it is attainable. My guest today will give us guidance that many of us require to whet our appetite in the world of physics, as well as the opportunities inherent in the field. Well, Prof Mantsae Diale, welcome to Marketplace with Charles.
Thank you for having me, Charles. I'm so happy to be there, to be invited to this. It's actually an honor to be invited to yourself and your audience. And I say to all the audience, thank you for having me in your houses.
You know, it is also our pleasure to have you. But most importantly, I want to believe that our viewers today, they'll be inspired by your story. Not only inspired, but they will take action and say, one day, I want to be like Prof Mantsae Diale. Prof, do you mind to give us a clear picture of what your qualification is all about?
Thank you, Charles. My qualification is a PhD in physics, meaning that is the highest attained qualification in physics, but that is not the end. I have done a BSc degree and went on to do an honors degree for South Africa, so that you have the 4-year degree, which qualifies you to do a master's degree, and I went on to do the PhD in physics. The degree that I have done is about the electrical devices. That, in simple words, is that your cell phone and every technology that you have right here, from your cameras, your lights, and everything, they all contain physics of semiconductor devices. So I've done semiconductor physics up to PhD, so I can make a device. As an example of a device is a diode, which you find in your cameras, a diode that you find in your solar cells, a diode that you find in your all technology that you have around, like the cell phones. When you have that kind of devices inside your technology, then you are able to communicate. So you can see that you are in the communication space. So that's what I have done in my profession thus far. And then for me to be where I am, you need to be very patient with yourself. When a student says to you, or a person says to you, I want to do a medical degree, they are just thinking about the 6 years and say, I'm fine, I don't want to do anything beyond the 6 years. But to do a PhD in physics, you have taken many years. It's far more than 6 years. Therefore, it's not about years, but it's about the career that you are building over all those years. Thank you.
Speaking of diodes, I thought maybe when we talk of PNP diode, we'll be talking electronics and not physics. What's the difference between electronics and physics then?
Electronics is a section of physics.
Okay.
You cannot know electronics until you have done the basics, which are physics.
Yeah.
That's why some people say physics is the mother of all sciences. That means if you are doing electronics, for you to be able to have those red lights there, the green lights in your devices, everywhere in this place, there are lots of devices. The lights that you are seeing that are indicating for you that you have a device, it's electronics. So to put all of that together, you need physics. You need to understand physics, how to put those devices together.
But is there a language that you learn?
It's similar to a language.
Yeah.
Because without the language of physics, you'll not be able to communicate properly on your electronics. So according to me, for a student to do electronics at the basic level, like at high school, the student must be in the physics class. So electronics will be a section of your physics at the high school level.
Yes.
And generally, electronics is so basic, so easy, that if we want to, we should be introducing our children to electronics while they are in the grades, the lower grades. As you know these days that when your phone is in trouble, your 7-year-old will be able to fix it quickly for you. And they don't even read, they do some things, and you say to yourself, how do they do it? And they say, Dad, I'll do it for you, don't worry. That's how practically easy it is. But for the child to understand this electronics, then they have to do the studies up to where I am. And then you speak about entrepreneurial spirit. As you play around with your electronics, you'll come up with new things. Not just technology. Technology is just the use of the gadgets that are there.
Yeah.
But to come up with these gadgets, you need this basics of understanding this work that I do, which is semiconductor physics.
But now, what is your assessment of South Africa, or perhaps Africa, regarding to the work that you do?
We are still very far. We are still not yet there. That's why it's important for us in South Africa to align our high school syllabuses in such a way that we are incorporating the newest work that is being done. When I was in high school, there was no semiconductor physics in the physics at high school. But today, the National Senior Certificate has got the semiconductors. And the problem that comes is that many of the teachers that are out there, they don't know anything about the semiconductors. That's why we have a lot of what is called workshops, which I don't really agree with.
Yeah.
I don't agree with these things of doing workshops for teachers. Teachers must be lifelong learners. They must always be reading the newest things, go to conferences, listen to what is new there, so that they can know when to introduce this. So the place where we are in the country, we are very far. We are not anywhere close to countries like China or outside countries. And then that's South Africa. But in Africa, we are still generally at zero. In Africa, education is not like here at home in South Africa, where our government education, our government schools may be able to train a student to a certain higher level. In many African countries, people rely completely on private education to an extent that the governments out there don't invest in basic education. So that's why we have so much trouble of people trying to go into our schools here. So we are not anywhere close to finding a solution. But we are doing better. I belong to an organization called the South African Institute of Physics. So the Institute of Physics has been there for many years, but I do particularly, I'm interested in teacher training, which we are doing very strong from South African Institute of Physics. We produce training for teachers during their holidays. We call them to one place, to a conference where we teach them the latest trends in physics. But another important thing is that people must be readers. You must learn to read what is out there in space. Like, people must read the newspaper. What is the newspaper saying about education? Yeah. What is the newspaper saying about physics? Mm-hmm. And then in that way, as people read, they become more interested in going further. And if you look at the available resources today, they are far different as compared to the time when we were in high school. There's internet. I'm not saying everything in the internet is good, but you can look through the internet, which is actually through physics, and make sure that you learn a lot about some information that you'll not even get from school.
With my knowledge of chemistry, I want to produce a roll-on of my own. If I can't produce a roll-on of my own, then I'm a failure. I went further to say, in my lifetime, I'm tired of watching Panasonic, Sony, Blomberg, and all these things. I want to watch a TV which is called Charles. And I was reprimanded. Later on, I started electronics at high school in the former Gazankulu. I was teaching electronics from standard 6 then up to matric level. But today that I left Gazankulu to come and work and do my own business, they've stopped it. What do you say to the people who are strangling this beauty?
Yes, unfortunately, we have people who found jobs. Those directors who were talking to you like that, they found a job. Mm-hmm. And there's a difference in a person who's doing their own passion and the ones who have found a job. Yeah. A person who has found a job, they want to get their salary at the end of the month. And the people who are self-employed like you or are working in such a way that they make a difference, they're not worried about their salaries. Mm-hmm. You have provoked me to speak some things that other people may not be happy with, and I don't care. Mm-hmm. Because I have gone to school, and therefore I don't need anybody to approve what I'm doing. So the problem why people are sabotaging our education is that they are scared that the newer people who will come with better knowledge will get them unemployed. And that is not really what is going to happen. If you are an open person, you will grow quicker. Even where you are, if you are a clever person, clever means that you are able to find the best in other people. Then you are going to be able to use your juniors to make sure that you become the great director. Wow. The problem is you are so scared of your juniors that when you call your juniors to a meeting, you want to give them instructions. No. When you come to a meeting with your juniors, you give them a problem and say, let's solve the problem together.
But it doesn't make any difference for me, because if you don't want to reskill yourself, the 4IR will take you out of your position.
Technology is the number one unemployer in the universe. Yeah. Nobody is losing a job because there are no jobs. There are lots of jobs. But technology will make sure that you are out of work. And think about right now, in the year 2020, when there is a problem of COVID-19, we have attended real great conferences virtually. And all of that, mother of all sciences, physics have come in to show you what is there that we can do. So technology is the number one instrument that makes people unemployed. Another example is this one. You see, aviation industry was a great industry, but it went to zero when COVID-19 grounded all. People who were relying on oil, oil went to a price of minus $40 per barrel, meaning that for us who are in Africa here, in South Africa, we should be looking at what are the alternatives to oil.
Yes.
I don't agree with people who say oil is depleting from the earth crust. That's not true. There's always new oil wells that are found. There is a new oil well in Saldanha Bay here in South Africa.
Yeah.
There is new oil wells in Angola. Who knew that one day these Arab countries, OPEC countries, will lose their only revenue? So because the aviation industry has gone that bad, and in addition to the issues that oil is bringing to the climate issues, the climate change issues, then we need to find an alternative energy resource that will give people chances to become newer entrepreneurs.
You know, I always said renewable energy and agriculture is the future.
That's true.
But then, having said that, Prof, what characterizes a physicist like yourself in terms of discipline to study?
Well, physics is not a lazy man's territory. If you are lazy, you are not going to make it. The character is that you must be a consciously hardworking person.
Yeah.
And when you are a consciously hardworking person, you'll definitely pass. You'll not fail physics.
Wow. Now, talk to us about the careers.
In physics, there are lots of careers. The careers in physics we have here in South Africa, what we call SKA. I hope all of you have seen this square kilometer array, which is a lot of satellites that we have built in the Northern Cape. We need lots of people to be working there to monitor the skies in this astronomy and astrophysics, and many people are not even aware that astrophysics is actually related to your cell phones, because that's where the signals are being controlled. And you know, you listen to dirty stories on radio many years ago on 702. I heard people saying that the cell phones towers are contaminating the world. They are bringing, they are bringing the viruses. No, it's not viruses. It's the language that we use. Yeah. Anything that is contaminating, we call it a virus. So even in technology, we call it a virus. 5G will not bring viruses to your area. So you can become a medical physicist. Medical physicist is the people who are controlling the machines when the doctors are doing surgery on people, and they are able to tell you about the waves that you see on the oscilloscope, that they're going up and down, and you say up and down, you know. That's medical physics work. You don't have to have a PhD to do medical physics. You need a knowledge of electronics, because you're going to control the electrolytes, which means the bloods and the liquids in one's body, how they go about. Is this person alive or not? When you breathe, it's a profession, medical physics. But you can also become a research scientist, which is the person who will come up with new technologies, like the renewable energy that we're talking about. The solar energy is free, okay? It's from the sun. Anybody can get it. But we need devices to capture it, to put it in the house. So we need the semiconductor physicists, we need medical physicists, we need lecturers, teachers, high school teachers, who are specialized in this thing called physics. So it's very broad. It's very, very broad. Material sciences. Let me talk a little bit about material science. Right now, I'm in the US now. I'm sitting with you here, but I'm in the US. I'm in my Materials Research Society conference. Materials is like when you look at what you're wearing now. That one is wearing something like a leather. Yeah. You are wearing some plastic there. It's plastic. Yeah. What you are wearing is plastic. And the blankets today are no more those heavy blankets. You remember we used to have these heavy blankets. They're very light. They're made out of plastic. It's polymer. So we need people who are specialized in polymer sciences. So there are many different sciences. So for you to succeed as a research scientist, you will come up with new technology, like an entrepreneurial work, is the people who are working together. That is people from chemistry, people from physics, people from engineering, people from computer science, people from machine learning, doing all things together and producing a great device.
But then, Prof, from time to time we hear about these people youngsters who will manufacture the aeroplanes and all that. Will you say these are genius in nature?
No, an aeroplane is something that has always been there. The issue is what is there that you have added to what you call your aeroplane. An aeroplane is an old technology, but the way it becomes newer technology is when you look at the technology, the new things that you have added. You see, now you have that camera now. My dad was a photographer, but the camera that he was using in 1967, still Pentax, but it didn't have the mirror. You had to be standing behind it and looking with one eye, you know. But this one, you're just looking at a reflection. That is the additives to your technology. So we call it additive manufacturing.
Prof, it is usually said that the higher the risk, the greater the returns. Will you say so? It is so in your field of study?
That's very true. What happens is that if you invest a lot of your time in there when your friends are making money by simple businesses, you will be able to make a lot of money in the future with all these things put together. Let's take an example of this great businessman called Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Elon Musk is a physicist. He's actually a South African from Pretoria. And he has gone through up to the master's degree. He was already doing his PhD and he stopped because he saw that he already has collected everything that he needs to put together in business. That is, he has taken all the ideas of renewable energy, like making electric cars. Now he's one of the very rich people in the world. Yeah, so the higher the risk, the greater the returns.
But here in Africa, not so much inventions have been done. What would you say is the cause?
It is not that there's not many inventions here. I think our biggest problem is that the great minds will emigrate and go to other countries and be able to use their minds in those countries with the support that they have there. What we need in Africa here is that the governments must support basic scientific research. Because without science, you cannot come up with new things. So you need investment in there. For example, what I would need to say is that let's have honors bursaries. Let's have master's bursaries. When it comes to PhD, let's have these people taking a contract like for 3 years. It's like they're already working so that we don't lose them into management. Let's invest in our own people. And just by giving them bursaries is not enough. We have to buy also technology that we need for them to be able to do that research and come up with new things. Let me give you an example of what I do in my lab. The solar cell is very, very old. It has been there maybe since 1954. But we have come up with newer polymer solar cells. Polymer meaning plastic, meaning that you can just paint it on your window and you can collect the sun energy by warming up your house. So we have, with my colleagues, been able to replace some of the components of the polymer solar cell with some newer technology, which has always been there. But the way we have mixed it is what makes it a new thing.
You know, Prof, unfortunately we ran out of time. But the most important question is, if someone wants to enroll and be like you, what is it that they have to do?
I would advise people to do your high school matric. You must have your physical science and mathematics at very good marks.
Yeah.
But these days, so many people get 7 distinctions. Be part of the 7 distinctions. Choose to go to a university where you are going to do your BSc degree and you are being taught. And after your BSc degree, you'll go to an honors. And after honors, you'll go to master's. And after master's, you'll do PhD. Each of this, if you do your BSc degree in 4 years, your honors 1 year, and your master's 2 years, and then your PhD 4 years, you'll have finished.
And if people want to hear more from you, how can they get in touch of you? Because we have so little time.
If people want to hear more from me, they can log on to the website of the University of Pretoria and go to the Department of Physics. And then you'll be able to connect with me through the University Department of Physics. It's very easy.
Well, Prof, thank you very much for gracing our studio. I hope the viewers out there are inspired.
Thank you very much for having me. It was actually an exciting moment to be in a studio.
Well, that's Charles Ngobeni signing off on Marketplace with Charles. You can get hold of me on all forms of social media. God bless you. See you next time.